everybody, and welcome to our board chapter training. And I'm excited to see what our staff has prepared for each of us as we enter into this new way of teaching. I wanted to say, for those of you who are receiving all of this rain, normally you hear me say, just keep swimming, but I really think right now we do need to keep swimming to keep moving forward. Again, I am so excited to see what we have prepared for you. And please reach out if you need anything. You know, all of you know that I am a text or phone call or email away. All right. Take her away, Lori. Boom, boom.
Thank you, Connie. I am going to turn it over to Diane Bernhard for news from National.
Awesome. Thanks, Lori, and thanks, Tony. Gosh, it's fun to see everybody's face. I know I saw some of you at National Police Week, but that is such a blur that whole week. So I hope that I got to greet some of you or most of you that were there. But if not, please know it's really good for me to see your face here right now. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now so you can kind of see my presentation as I talk. So I may not necessarily see if your hands go up, but I'm going to count on our staff in the background to let me know if you have questions as we go, or when we're done, I'm hoping that you'll ask questions if you have any as well. So, and hopefully this is all going to work. Okay, good. It's just moving really slowly today. Okay, so speaking of National Police Week, we're really excited that National Police Week went off. I wouldn't say without a hitch, but I don't think the folks that attended saw some of the hitches that maybe we saw in the background, but overall, just a really smooth police week. And I just want to give a shout out to you all that attended. Your chapter sent representatives to National Police Week to help the new survivors. I don't know how they would make it through such a crazy, busy week, just emotional week without the support that you have. So my first thing is just to say thank you for all of you that have attended. We are 100% interested in your feedback. So if you have things that, obviously we sent out a survey already, but if you have things that you really love that you want to never go away, or if you have suggestions for the future, feel free to always send those in. You can send them in now to the chapter and survivor support email that Lori's going to talk about a little bit later in this presentation. But if you have suggestions, we always want to hear from you. So please make sure you send those in to us. We did see this year just under 5,300 survivors that actually checked in. Prior to going to Police Week, we had over 7,000 registered. So a lot of times folks will register through us, we'll gather their information, and they won't elect to come and get their name tag once they get to National Police Week. But I think it's still good that we have them register because we now have their information and we can communicate with them in the future. And the folks that register through us, they definitely are usually in that category of those affected by the line of duty death that they're there to participate with. So it's good that we have their information. So we honored 232 heroes. At the Candlelight Vigil, there were 348. Obviously, that number is different because of the historical deaths that are also recognized at the Candlelight Vigil. And we now have just over 24,000 names of fallen heroes on the memorial wall. So that is National Police Week. I do have kind of a breaking update for you on National Police Week going forward. Yesterday, we were able to secure the Washington Hilton for future years. When we initially moved to the Washington Hilton, we moved there for a period of a 5-year contract, and we've been through 3 years now at the Washington Hilton, and we just were able to secure again 5 years going forward. So we will be at the Washington Hilton for the next 5 years, starting in 2026. So we're secured 26 through 2030 at the Washington Hilton. And you might wonder, why is that so important to have that security and having that venue? We have grown to be so large that there's only about 2 or 3 different venues in the DC area that can support a group of our size where we can all stay mostly together. I know there are some sleeping room blocks that are outside, but for our conference, we're all at the same location, and those are highly competitive to get those locations. And I know DC is expensive, and that's the part that I don't like about our venue. But we were able to negotiate our rate to be at the same as per diem for Washington, D.C. for the next 5 years. So as some of those rates soar and you see those rates go up during National Police Week, some venues over $400, ours will be at per diem for the next 5 years. So we're pretty we're pretty happy with that piece. We're pretty happy that we've figured out a lot of the logistics surrounding National Police Week, and the buses know where to go now, and you guys know where to go now. We are finding out where the good restaurants are around the hotel, so it's beginning to feel a lot more like home. So that's our big news, is that we are going to be staying there for the next 5 years. Survivors weekends and camps are in full swing. We've already hosted several of them. Spouses for couples, we hosted in Potosi with 24 couples attending. Coworkers for couples, we had 35 couples attending. And that one was at St. Simon's Island. Adult Children's has happened. We had 71 survivors attending, and that one was in Potosi as well. And our summer suicide survivors weekend was hosted this year as well, with 25 survivors attending. And this year that was moved to Potosi. So that is the same location as the bulk of the other retreats now. Just to clarify this, the suicide survivor weekends, those are split up by survivor groups. So there's, we have adult children, we have coworkers in small, in our regular, our traditional C.O.P.S population, we're broken up by individual survivor type. Because we don't have as many suicide survivors, we do group them together. So the summer time survivors, those are our spouses and children, and then in the fall survivors, we have our parents and siblings, and then they flush out from there as well. So we did group all the suicide survivors into 2 groups, and that's basically based on numbers. These are the dates for our remaining weekends. As you probably know, our registration closes 1 month prior to each program. So I hope that you're encouraging folks to get registered for the programs. There are no more changes to programs for this year. So the same places that we had programs last year is where we're having them this year. So if you have any questions about that, obviously our programs team here is always willing and able to answer your questions. So please reach out if you have questions, and we hope to see you there at our weekends. New this year, we are doing, instead of the C.O.P.S Walk Harper's Ferry that we've done for many, many years, this would have been the 20th anniversary of that. And with that 20th anniversary, we realized that we needed a refresh to this important fundraiser that we've had over the years. So we're really excited that we're going to be doing a C.O.P.S Walk to the wall, to the Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of excitement about it. We've already got a lot of walkers that are signed up to do this. We hope that if you have any interest, or any of your folks have any interest in participating in this, that you will get signed up. I think we're going to have, I think the last, you think about the last couple of miles when you do our other C.O.P.S walks, as you're walking into your finish line, it's always emotional. Everybody is tired. It's quite an achievement to walk 25 miles over 2 days. And add to that, at this particular walk, you're going to be walking into the Memorial Wall where we'll see our fallen heroes' names. And it almost gives me chills just thinking about what that's going to do in October of this year. So I hope that you might consider joining us, or at least putting that out to your folks, and hopefully some of them will consider joining us. We do have Memorial Trail flags for purchase for this walk. That's something new that we're doing as well. So you can find information about that on our website, but if you would like to have a flag that is put near the entrance to the wall as the walkers are walking in, that's an option for you as well. And obviously we have to do fundraisers in order to meet our expenses, but these walks are more than just fundraisers. They're also great opportunities to interact with each other and just support each other. And if you've never been to one, I would encourage you to try. And you may ask, what if I can't walk 25 miles? I hear that sometimes. There's nobody there. It's going to make you walk all 25 miles. So if you want to go and you want to walk, 3 or 4 miles one day and 3 or 4 miles the next day, or any combination thereof, we do have folks that can help you get off the trail and then get back on when you want to. So don't feel like it's too intimidating or it's too far. We would meet you right where you're at, and you can walk whatever's a challenge to you is what we would suggest you walk. So. Surviving to Thriving Conference. So we're super excited about this conference coming up in November of this year. And many of you probably remember that we did this in January of last year, our inaugural Surviving to Thriving Conference. It was really successful. It was fun to see all the different survivor groups come together for a conference, and you have an opportunity to pick and choose some of the classes that you can go to, lots of opportunities to network and to interact with each other. We definitely try to put a fun component into it. This year we're going to do it in New Orleans, which that could be a fun component right there. And we're going to hold that in conjunction with our National Conference on Law Enforcement, Wellness, and Trauma. So you'll notice they're going to be going on at the same time. We're going to be at the same hotel. But we are going to have, it's going to be, the advantages to that is that we're going to have the same C.O.P.S shops. You're going to have a bigger C.O.P.S shop that you can shop from. You're going to have an opportunity to see some exhibitors that will be there. Because Surviving to Thriving has a smaller conference, we haven't had that many exhibitors at our last one. So you'll have opportunity to see a lot more exhibitors that will be there. So while we'll be at the same location, same exhibitors, same C.O.P.S shop, we'll eat meals staggered, but in the same location. But we will definitely have different sessions broke out for the law enforcement on the wellness and trauma, and our surviving groups, surviving family groups and coworkers that will have sessions that are designed especially for you. So they're definitely going to be two different conferences where we'll just have some overlaps where it logistically makes sense. One of the things that's exciting about that, if we look at what's going on for the law enforcement conference, and we have some keynote speakers that will be there that are geared towards law enforcement. The last keynote speaker, and I need to give a shout out to Indiana C.O.P.S. The last keynote speaker that we're going to have on Sunday morning is Sam Glenn, and he is an excellent keynote speaker. I won't tell you all that he does, but as he speaks, he also creates a painting, and it's just a really cool way to close out the conference. And so for that one keynote speaker, we're going to bring both conferences together in the same group to watch Sam Glenn create his work of art, as he has a extremely motivating way to send us out of the conference. So we're really excited about the two conferences being held together but separate, and the ways that we could overlap. And you guys can see some of the highlights also going on at the law enforcement conference at the same time. So we'll hope you'll join us in New Orleans in November. Both conferences are open right now for registration. Traumas of law enforcement training, we have 4 more left. Actually, one of them is happening right now as we speak in Baltimore, Maryland. They're on day 2 of their traumas training. But we're going to come up and we're going to be in Dearborn, Michigan, Golden, Colorado in August, and then North Dartmouth, Massachusetts. I can't say that word, in September. So we will, I want to thank those chapters that have helped us already have traumas training this year. We would have hosted 5 already before this one. And these are the 4 that we have remaining. So we really appreciate that partnership with the chapters when we come to your area to teach this training. And I hope that also raises awareness for your chapter when we're there doing these trainings. We're really close to announcing where those locations will be for 2026. I think 7 of the 9 are mostly chosen. So we're really close, and I look forward to very soon being able to shoot out to you where all the trainings will be for 2026. It's time for the holiday ornament design. So if you've got any of your children that are in your chapters, or any artists, they don't have to be children, if there's any adult artists or anybody that just has an idea for a design, it's super fun to get the ideas into the office that come from survivors. And then we turn around and create a custom ornament that survivors can put their officer's name on at Christmas time. So and there's generally a little surprise or a little prize that we'll also send out to the winner of the design contest. So if that's something you can do for fun in your chapters, if you guys get grouped together, if the kids need something to do, if you can have them draw some pictures from a very sketchy picture, we could come up with a pretty great design. So you don't have to actually be an artist. You just need to be able to put some ideas down on paper, and we take those ideas and mold them into a great ornament. So I hope you might consider doing that in your chapters and sending us some suggestions. We need to have those pretty soon, but if you get those, you can send them into Angel in our office. If we can get those, by September or so, it takes a while for us to create those ornaments and to get those back. So if you could get them into us by September, that would be really great. We have some new faces on staff, and you're going to get to meet them in person in just a few minutes. One of them is Amy Morgan. She's our chapter success coach. She's going to come on and tell you about her background and what she's here to do for C.O.P.S. And the other one is Felicia Rosa. She's our chapter specialist. So Felicia Rosa and Amy Morgan are 2 new folks. You're going to meet them just as soon as possible, as soon as I'm done with all my talking. They'll be on here to meet you, but we want to make sure that you saw them, and we're excited about what they bring to help you all in the chapters. And they're just great people. I can't wait for you to meet them. Okay, election update. So we have a lot of, it's election season. So we have candidates out there that you've seen already, and hopefully you've watched videos, but we have 4 candidates all qualified for our national president. And then we have in not all of our regions, in some of our regions, we also have elections for trustees. So all that is happening right now, and hopefully you've been talking about that in your meetings. But what you need to know is that you need to submit your chapter vote no later than July 10th. So the way you vote is you send in your meeting minutes to elections@nationalcops.org. So in your meeting minutes, it needs to say that you hosted a meeting and this is who your chapter has voted for. And those minutes are sent into that email address, elections@nationalcops.org. We will take those as votes. We, meaning the audit and election committee, they take those, and they each chapter has 1 vote, and the national board and each trustee then also has a vote, and that's how our national president and the trustees are chosen. Obviously, for the region trustees, just the region votes they're for their own trustee, with also the national board as well. So those votes will be compiled. They have to be in by July 10th. If they come in late, they won't be counted. So it's really important you get them in by July 10th, because I believe the morning of July 11th, they are counting. So one of the things that we discovered, most of you probably know that we have a parliamentarian that works with our national board that makes sure that we do things correctly, we follow our bylaws. And we discovered that in our bylaws that our national president has to be elected by a majority, because that's how it's worded in our bylaws. And a majority, when you define it through Robert's rules, which is what we use in order to host meetings, I know you're going to get some training on that, that a majority is defined as more than half the votes cast. So this has really never been an issue for us, because prior to this election, we've only, in my time, at least my 11 years I've been at C.O.P.S, we've only had 2 people ever running for national president or a position. And so a majority is easy to determine when you only have 2 candidates. This year we have 4 candidates, which is exciting. That means people want to be on the national board and want to lead this organization. It's super healthy. But getting to a majority might be a bit of a challenge. And our board has talked about this a little bit, and we do believe that we need to make some adjustments in our bylaws in the upcoming year. But for this year, we have this bylaws, and we will follow our bylaws because we always do. So we have to get to a majority. So what that means is that on July 11th, when those votes are counted, if one candidate does not come up with more than half of the votes, then we will have to have a revote. A couple weeks ago, we sent a very last minute, we realized this, we sent a very last minute email to you all asking you to schedule a chapter meeting for July 17th, 18th, or 19th, which would give you the 30-day notice that you have to do a chapter meeting. They have to put out there. We asked you to get that scheduled. And that meeting will need to be held if we don't have a majority. So we will know on the night of July 11th, and we will be sending an email we'll first notify the candidates, and then we'll be sending an email to you very shortly thereafter, letting you know what the votes, how the votes came out, and how many votes each candidate got if there's not a majority. We let you know how many they got regardless, but if there's not a majority, that's super important, because then you have to host your chapter meeting in order to vote again and send that in, and with the hopes with the second vote that we have a majority. We know that that's complicated. We know that that's confusing. And we know that after July 17th, 18th, and 19th, should all this happen, we may still not have a majority. And what that means, basically, after consulting the parliamentarian, is that we will continue to have to vote until we get to a majority. Now, we are very hopeful that that won't happen, that we'll have a majority sooner than later. But if we don't, then we'll be communicating with you we'll be meeting with our board and communicating with you on what those next steps are going forward. I do think that our board will be reviewing over the next year the bylaws to try to help us not have this problem ever again. And I think they'll also be talking about some of the feedback that we've gotten about some of the areas that don't have some of the survivors who don't have chapters, how do they vote? And right now, there's really not a good answer for that. The votes all come in from chapters and from the national board, and our survivors who live in areas that are not covered by chapters right now don't have a mechanism in which to vote. So that's definitely going to be a conversation that our national board will at least discuss over the next year. So those are two things that I think will be discussed in the future. But if you have any questions about this, some of the things that we get asked sometimes is, does our chapter board just vote, or do we need to ask our chapter members? The answer is that you should be, you vote at your meeting, you should be inviting all your chapter members to that meeting to vote. So your chapter members should have a voice in this. This should not just be a board meeting that is just held that your chapter members are not allowed to come to. It's not just a chapter board vote. It needs to be representing your chapter. So that question does come out from time to time. And we do see that sometimes our chapters don't necessarily do that right, but I know all of you will. Before I finish up what I have to say, I wanted to just kind of put some opportunity out there for you to have any questions that are in the chat. I want to ask Lori if there's anything that I need to address that's in the chat. And then I'm going to have a little fun with you before I turn you over to the next group.
I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay. All right. Well, we're about to have some chat. So get your chat.
Oh, wait. Sorry, she typed wait. So now I'm waiting for a question.
Okay.
Are you typing, Debbie, or are you going to unmute and ask? It's up to you. What are the expenses for surviving to thriving?
The expenses for surviving to thriving. So that's the one program that C.O.P.S has that does have a registration fee. So if you choose to go to that, and Lori, can you look that up for me to see what it landed on? I think
yes,
$250, but
$250 per person, and that covers your conference and breakout sessions, fun activities, networking opportunities, 2 lunches, and 1 dinner. So that does not cover the cost of hotel or travel, and maybe a couple of other meals. So conference and breakout sessions, fun activities, networking, 2 lunches, and 1 dinner.
that's a great question. Thanks for asking.
And then fly in and fly out times for C.O.P.S Walk and Surviving to Thriving. So Surviving to Thriving would be 13 to 16 are the dates. So conference check-in begins on the 13th. So you could fly in the morning of the 13th or the 12th, and then conference ends on Sunday, November 16th at 12 p.m. So Thursday to Sunday for that. And then let me get to C.O.P.S Walk to the Wall. So that's 10 through 12 of October. How fast can I find it?
While she's looking for that answer, which is a great question, while she's looking for that, let's have a little bit of fun in the chat. I'm going to give a challenge coin from the national office, which has our courtyard on it and the tree on, to the first person that can put in the chat, name all 4 candidates for president, first and last name. See who can get to that done first.
We need like Jeopardy music.
We do need Jeopardy music. Oh, Lloyd, I got 3. Oh, I see it.
Oh.
Let's see.
Looks like Loida.
Loida got 3. She didn't get 4. Looks like Jada has 4. Is she next? Looks to me like
Yep, Jada's next. Dana, Dave, Max, and Kyle.
Yep, it's Dana Evans, Dave Wallace, Max Morgan, and Kyle McAllister. Great job. Gosh, a lot of folks knew it. Love it. And I love how everybody's trying to figure out how to spell McAllister. I struggle with that every time I type it. Good job, guys. Okay, let's do another one. We're going to see who can get within, I don't know, about $100,000 or so of how much expenses does National C.O.P.S budget for in this budget year? How much do we plan to spend on programming and everything National C.O.P.S? Let's see how close we can get to it. I'm just going to pick a winner when they get really close. I like, oh, for all of the budget, $76,000. It's a lot more than that. So we're talking about all our programs, all our staff, our keeping up with our national building, National Police Week. Oh, so we're getting closer.
6 mil.
See who we can get. We got 4.2 million, 6.6. 12 is too high. 6.6 billion.
6 billion.
Surely that's too high. This is kind of fun. 4.5 million is too low.
There's our
6.6 million is pretty close.
Pretty close.
8 million. Oh, who just did 7.3? That's really close. 7.2. James Geesey. That's really close. 7 million's really close. Loida. Oh, 7.2. Who gave me 7.2? Is that Deborah Valdez? Is that the first 7.2 you see?
That's it.
That's good. It's 7.188 something. So I'm going to give that one to Deborah Valdez. Good job. So hopefully somebody's writing down who these winners are.
Yes, I'm writing them down.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to do, okay, here we go. This is a trick question. What is the name, first person get it, of our new chapter success coach? New chapter success coach, the name. Amy Morgan, great job, Craig. You got that one. And our new chapter specialist, who's going to get that one first?
Oh, that was fast. Debbie Swoford.
Yes, a little bit of a typo in it, but yes, I'll take it.
Yeah. Oh, it does have a typo. That's okay.
That's really good, Felicia. That's great. That's really fun. So as we switch over, one of the things I want to just encourage you all or challenge you all to do, and as we're doing the training, you guys can just randomly put this in the chat, but I encourage you to think about the things that you're doing in your chapter to keep your chapter fun, to keep going to programs or meetings to be fun and different social events that you do. People will want to be involved in something that, you know, obviously the serious side of C.O.P.S we have, the business side of C.O.P.S we have to do, but we also have to keep it fun. And so I just encourage you, as we're going through the rest of the training, if you can put some ideas in the chat of things that you do on your chapter to keep things fun for attendees when they come to meetings or programs or special events that you have for them. Thank you for your time today. I'm going to turn this back over to Lori. We'll get your challenge coins sent out to you, our winners. Thanks for everybody for playing, and right back to you, Lori.
Thank you. I got the answer for C.O.P.S Walk to the Wall travel date. So October 10th, and then walking 11/12. So you can come in on the 10th and depart in the evening of the 12th, or again, you can do 9 to 13 or 10 to 13 and leave on that Monday. Someone also asked in the chat what the terrain was like. So it's mostly flat, about comparable to Harper's Ferry if you did Harper's Ferry. So those are those two questions. And now I'm going to have Felicia introduce herself, and then we'll turn it over to Amy.
Hey, I'm Felicia Rosa, and I am the new chapter specialist here at National C.O.P.S. I spent the last 8 years in education, so this is a big change for me, and I am so excited to be here and work with all of you. Go ahead, Amy, you're up.
Well, that was really fast. Okay. Am I on? Okay, I'm Amy Morgan, and some of you probably don't know me at all, but I used to own a company called Academy Hour, and I worked specifically in mental health with first responders, and I sold that company in 2022. But I've worked with first responders about 15 years now. And I've known Lori for multiple years now because I have been working with SBS, the Survivors of Blue Suicide. I do their educational sessions once a month. And I got to go to my first weekend. I'm going to call it a retreat because now I can't remember the right word for it. So I got to go to the summer suicide survivors retreat, and it was amazing to get to know and see everyone in person. So that's me. I'm now the chapter success coach, trying to help Lori and her team as much as I possibly can, help you guys and provide you as much support as possible. So if you think of things that you need that I can help with, and specifically training, we're going to start doing a lot of mini training, micro trainings, just little things to kind of help you figure out how to run the board and how to manage an organization and that sort of thing. So any resources that you need that aren't already provided or that I can kind of update or do anything with, just let me know. And the first thing I'm going to do today is give you a couple of little things. Am I going ahead with this, Lori? Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Trying to stay on the agenda. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about, and I try to name them funny, but I don't know that I'm all that funny. My kids say I'm not. The first one's called Get Your Hands Out of Our Pockets, and it's covering tithing to national. So we get a lot of questions about why do the chapters have to send their money? You do a fundraiser, you make money in different ways. Why do you have to send some of that to the national office, portion of those funds? I know that can probably feel frustrating, especially if you've worked really hard to raise those funds locally there in your chapter for your chapter. So it's a valid question. But Diane brought up the really important point that every year we budget $70,000 for the tithes that are incoming from the chapters, but the expenses are 7.1 million, almost 2.2 million. So that's, a portion of it, and the rest comes from other places. But I want to kind of explain why the chapters participate in that. First of all, it's because it's one of the SOPs, the National Standard Operating Procedures, number 3.14. And it's, I'm just going to read it real quick. Chapters will be required to make an annual contribution to the National Organization of Concerns of Police Survivors of at least 15% of the chapter's annual net income for the fiscal year ending March 31st. The chapter will forward at least 15% of their annual net income to the national office by July 31st of each year. So you can see it's required, it's in the SOPs, but it's also just part of being connected to the bigger picture. So I want you to think of it kind of like the chapters are kind of like a Subway franchise or any franchise. You've got your local presence, you're doing the work in your area for everyone in your region, but you're also part of this nationwide brand, or in this case, a nationwide mission. So that shared mission, the support that the chapter gets, all the training, the internal structure that helps you run the chapter, which is a nonprofit organization, and that's not a straightforward, simple thing to run. The legal guidance, the benefits, help, the national events, all of that is what you can expect and what you should receive from the national office. So your chapter's contribution of 15% of your net income each year goes toward that shared support mission, and make sure that you always have a place to get the resources and the answers that you need. I was supposed to share my screen and only just now realized it, so I'm going to do that. Because
It's okay. These are people.
These are people that, okay, this isn't too exciting anyway. So, not that they're all too exciting, but there we go. Summary of what I just said. I also sent Lori just a quick reference guide for all of this stuff because the next part's going to be a little bit more detailed. And so she's going to send that out to you guys. If you're trying to take notes or whatever, she's going to send you kind of notes from this so that you don't have to try to memorize it. And there will be further training. I have a whole list of training, different training topics and things that I'm going to start sending out, start creating. Actually started on some of it. Some of it is some more detailed per topic board training. So how to do your job as the board, because boards change and you probably haven't had a career of being on the board. So we're going to work on that next. And then a whole list of just kind of really helpful and kind of fun and some interesting just things. But a lot of it is how to run the chapters. And a lot of it is about why you're even in the Concerns of Police Survivors chapter in the first place. All right, I'm going to switch over now and talk about who is Robert and why do we have to follow his orders? Diane mentioned it. It's the Roberts Rules of Order, and it's how you run a meeting. It's one method. I mean, it's the most commonly used method, and this is the one that C.O.P.S has adopted. So it basically defines how to run meetings, especially when there are votes that have to take place. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But when there's discussion, and sometimes there's disagreement, if you have to vote on something, people may not always agree. And then how to document the meeting. Those are your minutes. So I'm going to get into all that. But first, I want to talk about the voting itself. And Diane touched on this. But when it comes to voting, a motion only passes if it gets a majority, which doesn't mean who gets the most. It means more than half of the votes that are actually cast. So if someone abstains from the voting, someone decides they don't want to vote, they don't count as the number of people. They may be in the room, but if they abstain from voting, then you're not counting them. So for 4 people vote, half of 4 is 2. So the majority means you need 3 people voting in a particular way. 2 isn't enough. A tie, that would be a tie. It has to be at least 1 more than half the number of people that vote. If the vote ends in a tie, then that motion or whatever it is you're voting on automatically fails. And you have to have a revote. So the key is we're not just looking for half. We have to have more than half of the people that are voting. You have 30 people in your chapter meeting that are voting, 16 is your majority number. So we're going to talk about the steps now to actually hold the meeting. I'm going to go through this. So the voting is part of this, and I'll get to that in a second. That's on the screen. So your secretary takes notes, and those notes become the meeting minutes. They're about what's discussed, what decisions are made, what the voting outcomes are, and who makes the motions, seconds the motions, and so forth. So those notes then get written in a particular way as meeting minutes, and you should have templates for those. But if you need help, with how to write meeting minutes, there will soon be another training session on that. But that is the record of the meeting and the documentation, and those are official documents that your chapter is required to have in order as a nonprofit and as a requirement by C.O.P.S. You want to make note of who was there, and if someone was absent, that's typically there, like on the board, whatever, note that absence. So the first thing is a call to order, and the chapter president calls the meeting to order by basically saying, I call this meeting to order at, and you say what time it is. Secretary's writing this down. Meeting was called to order at 7 o'clock. Then you take roll call if you need to. Now, if you have a small group, you probably don't need to take roll call because you can look and see who is and isn't there. But if you have a larger group, and then you can take a roll call, and that helps the secretary write down who was there and who was not there. Then you take the minutes from the previous meeting that you had, whatever the last meeting was, or whatever meeting minutes have not yet been approved. Every time a secretary writes meeting minutes, they have to be approved at the next meeting. And unless there's question and discussion, they could be delayed, but you have to approve each one. So the secretary should send out the minutes from the last meeting to everyone ahead of the meeting. That just gives them time to look through it, or at least provide a copy to everyone in the meeting. Make it accessible, but it's easier so that everybody's not just sitting there reading the minutes and you're having to wait on that to happen. So ahead of time is kind of helpful. Once everyone reviews it, maybe they bring up things that weren't recorded, that are missing, or maybe was inaccurate in some way. Everybody's just kind of doing a proof of it. And then once everyone's decided that, okay, the minutes are the correct documentation of the meeting, the secretary will ask for a motion. So by doing that, they say, I move to approve, or ask for someone to say, I move to approve the minutes as written. So somebody can make the motion, and then she secretary will say, we need a second, and someone will say, I second to approve the minutes as written. Then there's discussion. So I put this on the screen for you because it's very confusing. Sometimes people think the discussion happens and then someone makes a motion, someone seconds, and then they vote. And it's actually, the motion is to open up, hey, I'm going to make a motion that we discuss this, basically. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes. Someone's going to second the motion, and then the secretary is going to say, does anybody have any discussion? Then this discussion happens, and then the vote. Then you say, okay, now that we've agreed, then we're going to take a vote. But the motion and the second go before the discussion, which I probably messed up a second ago. Motion, second, discussion, vote. We got that. So this is, again, in your little notes that you're going to get, your little quick cheat sheet that Lori's going to send you. Okay, so motion, a member says, I move that we blah, blah, blah. So they may bring up something new even and say, I move that we start celebrating birthdays every month in the chapter, whatever it happens to be as a formal thing. Someone will second, I second the motion, and then the president will say, it's been moved and seconded that we do blank. Is there any discussion? The members then ask questions, they raise concerns or suggest changes or just discuss in general until you come to a what this is going to be, how it's going to be written down. And then when the discussion's over, the president will say, seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote. All in favor say aye, all opposed say no. And again, the simple majority, meaning take half of the people that are voting, that number, and it has to be at least one more in order for that to pass. And so then it is passed or it's not passed. The treasurer's report is the next thing that should be on the agenda in the meeting. And basically the treasurer is going to present income, expenses, balances, financial reports, upcoming obligations, things that maybe money needs to be raised for, where the chapter stands financially, what expenses were paid, and so forth, so that it's transparent and everybody in the chapter that's looking at this, going to vote on, is the same thing. You don't have to have a motion or a vote to approve the treasurer's report because it is what it is and should be factual. But if someone's proposing an expenditure that may require a vote, then you're going to do the motion in the second. Otherwise, it's just a report and everybody says, okay, we've seen the report and we're done. Then there's officer and committee reports, if any, if you have committees that want to give updates, anything that is a reporting that's happened that you want to say what the outcome was, or if you have new business to bring up, this is when this can happen as well. But there's also a new business section. So then you go to old business, which is unfinished. And so if there was something that maybe it was put off because you couldn't decide on something or didn't have time to finish discussing it or whatever it was, revisit anything that wasn't finalized at a previous meeting. So you'll say, last month we tabled the discussion on the holiday event location, whatever it was. So we need to resume that now, and you do you discuss it then and vote if you have to vote or not vote. New business is the same. I mean, it's exactly what it says. A member might say, I move that we do such and such. Somebody seconds it, then you have discussion about it, and then the president calls for a vote. Then there's just open discussion or general announcements. And this is really brief stuff. It's not anything heavy or significant that would be brought up as a new business, or it would be, hey, I would like to bring up that at the next meeting we discuss or we decide such and such, or we solve such and such a problem. But open discussion is just kind of anything that's non-voting, don't need to vote, and just kind of informational stuff. And then the president will adjourn the meeting by saying, if there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned at, and you note the time, and the secretary will note the time of that. So the president facilitates the meeting. That's just because someone needs to say, here's what's next, here's what's next, here's what's next. The president isn't the deciding person. It's a facilitation thing and someone to keep things in order and make sure that Robert's rules are followed. Motions are how decisions get made. And it's really important to make sure everyone in a meeting has a voice. And so that's why we vote. That's why there's all sorts of just, opportunities for discussion. And then keep the minutes, track the votes, and stick to the agenda items. So you will get that's super complex, but you will get, like I said, a little cheat sheet that kind of walks through the process of the meeting and how to take votes and motions and seconds. All right. And I think that's just on meeting minutes. So, and then you send your meeting minutes in to National every month. That's it. Lori, back to you. Back to you, Bob.
So there was a couple of questions that got brought up and about quorum. So I know Rick Pulling is great in this area. So I don't know specific quorum off the top of my head. You may, Amy, and also discuss what call the question means to stopping the discussion and vote, which I have to admit I'm banking on someone else knowing this.
A quorum is if your bylaws say we have to have at least a certain number of people voting, that's your quorum. Bylaws or SOPs. I'm not sure which, I'd have to look up where it's found here, but it's a certain number of people. So if you have 40 people in the chapter and 5 people on the board, and you go and try to have a vote on something and you're like, well, we only have 2 people here, let's just go ahead and vote on it. you have to have a certain number of people so that it's for fairness. That's it. So the quorum is we don't have enough. If you only have a couple people show up to the board meeting and you need to vote on things, all the things that need to be voted on have to wait till there's a meeting where there are enough people to meet that quorum. Just a minimum number of people to vote. Yeah, so I see the specific training for chapter secretary would be helpful. We're about to send you guys one for each board position. And it's going to be an online training so that you can watch it and you can refer back to it whenever you have a question. You watch it once and then you're like, okay, I mostly get it, but you can be able to watch it again. And it means every time you have a board change over every year, if someone coming new will get the same exact standardized training so that updated, of course, we're going to keep it updated, but so there's no question as you go through the years, it doesn't become like the telephone game where so-and-so told so-and-so and told so-and-so and whatever. It's the same training every year. So every position will get their own specific training. Please discuss what call the question means to stopping discussion and vote. I think that I'm guessing, so I'm going to tell you I'm guessing, but from what I remember, I think it is to keep discussion from going on and on forever. At some point you have to say, call the question, meaning ask for a vote. And so it's, not everybody gets along and not everybody agrees on everything. That's a shock to everyone, but especially when you're trying to decide things, and votes are to decide things, make decisions for the chapter. And so it just basically means, sorry, I was trying to read the other ones at the same time. I think it basically is when someone finally says, call the question. Like we've reached a standstill. We need to call the question. So don't quote me on that though. That's my understanding.
That sounds good. I'm just not the one.
I don't have the Roberts rule book with me, but
May I step in here real quick for you, Amy?
yes.
This is Rick Pulling. Just call the question. You nailed it. And it's to prevent discussion from going on and on and on. A lot of people they're redundant. So somebody has to call the question and the presiding officer just needs to call for the vote. And
Perfect.
it's standard Robert rules stuff. My point about the quorum, and I'm from Delaware, and we have I don't know, I'm going to say, I don't know the true number, but I'm going to say at least 50 plus folks in our email database.
Okay.
But we only get 10 or 12 people, maybe 15, that are active that comes to a meeting. I'd have to go back and look at the bylaws, but I'm sure there's several other COPS chapters around the country that are the same as we are. And from my point of view and my perspective, a quorum is going to be whoever shows up at a meeting. Now, the presiding officer can decide if there's only 2 people there, then move to the next meeting. But it would be, you can't, I don't know how you put a number on 12, 15 people that regularly come to meetings to decide things when there's 85 people or 50, 85, I don't know the true number.
Yeah.
But if only 10, 20% ever show up, you have to call the quorum, would have to be the people present at the time you have the discussion.
I get what you're saying because they're showing up. There is an actual, it is written out though. There is an actual but it's not like 15. It would be like 3. It's a reasonable, sensible number that makes things actually just.
Yeah.
So.
I want to step in here on this. So your board is comprised of voting members and non-voting members. So your voting would be, and this isn't the case for each COPS chapter because they're different, but it would be president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. Those are your voting board positions. And if you have voting trustees, you would need 2/3 as quorum of those voting members. So if you have a board of 10 voting members, that would be your quorum to have a board meeting, to successfully make motions, take votes. That's what the quorum would be. Majority would be if 12 people came to your meeting, including your board. So for easy math, you have 15 and you're voting, then you need majority, which is over half. So your quorum is only your voting board members to make that easier. That's why we don't recommend having like super large boards with a lot of trustees, because then it's harder to get to a quorum when you hold your meeting. Okay,
That's all.
I think that finishes up the questions. So you can stop share, Amy, and then I'll start share. How about that? I'll remove your spotlight too. Okay. So today I'm going to go over, I'm going to find my screen here. Okay, can you see quarterly and annual reports? Amy, shake your head if you can see my screen. Okay, thanks. So I'm going to go over the quarters, what's coming up, how to submit paperwork. So I've listed this out and have an email teed up to all of the attendees today with Amy's handout for a previous session, and also my handout with the quarters. So quarter one due date is for quarter one is April, May, June. Financial reports and minutes are due to the national office by July 31st. So you have a quarter end and this month and a year end. So your annual reports will be your 990. And so for your 990, I've already been getting a couple of great questions about this. What do you need from us in terms of a 990? So we would like your completed packet. So if you do a longer form, some of you do like a postcard, we need the actual 990 and then your proof that it's been submitted. So if you do that online, you'll get a submission receipt. We do collect both of those items. Your state annual report, and there's a little asterisk by there because not every chapter has one due every year. We do track the odd years and what year you're on. So Felicia will probably be reaching out in the next couple weeks just to remind you of your state annual report. Your financial review, and then your net income invoice, which is tithing. So those are all coming around this month to be due. And then I've just listed out the other quarters for you in this handout and when their due dates are. Where to send my paperwork. So at Police Week, my next couple of topics at National Police Week, I did a session where I came with my laptop and some questions and had I had great turnout. I was so happy to see you all at Police Week, whether you came to the session or not, just getting up to hug everyone and see everyone supporting. And what we did in this session is I asked some questions for some feedback to National Cops, like tell me the hard things, the things that we can do better, the things that we're already doing good that you like. And we had a really great conversation about what to do. And one of the common things was it's really hard for everyone to figure out who all the cop staff is and what we all do. And then especially if we have staff turnover. So I told everyone like my team has a email address that's checked by all of us every day. So it's pulled up just as our email addresses. And it's chapter and survivor support at nationalcops.org. And so you can always send it directly to Felicia. If that's your preference, that's okay. Or you can send it to chapter and survivor support. The benefit of chapter and survivor support is one, it's monitored daily by everyone. So if somebody's on vacation, you're most likely still getting an answer from somebody. We try to keep in our lanes, but we will help each other out. Right now, Alyssa's gone on vacation, so I just got in there and kind of answered a few for her this morning. It's where all of our online forms go for our team. So the survivor contact forms, the coworker forms, it all kind of dumps into one email. So this is a great option for you. I know some chapters lately have been using it and like copying it on emails, which is great. And we're able to jump in and a team members on it. And I think we had one thread going where like 2 different team members were answering, but it was great in how fast the response got out. So feel free to send your reports directly to Felicia or to chapter and survivor support. I know that there's times I get reports, and don't worry, I will forward them on and respond and forward them on to Felicia. I want to thank you all for your patience during National Police Week time of turning in reports and having new team members and team members gone. So I appreciate that. I'm going to go to DocuSign. So you've probably seen, I know you've seen things coming in DocuSign. So these are the things you can expect from our team. Your bylaws must be signed in DocuSign, and we're almost to the end of bylaws. We've got just a few chapters left, so that's great. You all did awesome. So those will go, and then anytime your chapter has an election and sends a roster form, that will automatically tee up Felicia to send out the confidentiality nominee pledge and the financial ethics and accountability that has to be signed every single roster, every single election year. It's good practice, so we're going to take care of that for you. So with March elections, a lot happened in March. You guys had, it was elections, it was bylaws, it was National Police Week, it was all the things. So you would have received financial ethics and accountability came from Perry. She was very kind before Felicia started to get those sent out to the chapters. And then Felicia is currently working on sending out confidentiality nominee pledges from March elections. So those are the things you can be seeing coming in to from DocuSign. And now I'm gonna check chat just to make sure I haven't missed anything before I move on. Okay. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about Amy touched on and upcoming training. So also during the last probably year, I have looked at and gotten questions on, do you have training for secretaries or treasurers? It's happened in the chat today. And so Amy and I have collaborated a lot about what we can do to help our chapters be successful. We know you guys are volunteers and survivors working to help agencies in such a tough job out there. And we want to spend time making sure you guys are trained and have great tools from us here at National. So we talked about doing an online community. And for those of you that were in our class, we really started talking about this community and what can it do, and building this to put in training opportunities. And so there will be position training. So president, secretary, treasurer, vice president, all of those individual position trainings. Some other topics will be onboarding and offboarding. So when new chapter members are elected to office, there's an onboarding process that you guys can get on and look, and not just look once and go back to the community to look at that. And then offboarding, that's an important thing, like what to do when somebody's rolling off the board and what have they taken care of, passwords and things like that nature, just helping them be successful if they're rolling to be like the immediate past president, or maybe they're done being vice president and they've put in to run for secretary. There's going to be processes on taking minutes, reporting, voting, all of these things, and then some specialized training to help you help others. She's really developed a great catalog. I'm so super excited to see how this comes out over the next few months. I think those in the class were really excited about it too, so much we kept talking about the community. So I think we accidentally named it while we were having this session of, we're going to call it the community. To where you can get all of your documents. Like, we know that the database can be kind of difficult to navigate, to find paperwork, and we want to make sure that it's a secure place that you can go and you just know where it's at. So we're really excited about that. So I wanted to touch on it because I know we've been getting a lot of questions about training. So that is what I have to share today. but I'm going to look at chat and see if there's anything that I missed. Does anybody have any questions? Because then Amy has one more topic for you today, and then we'll be all done, almost at time. Okay, Debbie said wait again, but I don't know if that's for me or not, so I'll wait. You think it? I'm looking at Wendy Veers. I just like landed on Wendy's face and she smiled. So Debbie's typing. Oh, she's right underneath Wendy. So
Hey, Lori, can you send out the blank form for the quarterly report? Can you send a link out?
you bet I
Yeah.
can. I will send it out with your handout and our presentations after the class, and I'll show you where to find them too, because I know that the database maintenance has completed, so we're going to build back in your logins and passwords. Do you have a schedule of when the trainings will be available? Not yet, Krisha, but we're working on it. If we haven't received the DocuSign forms for signature, when should we reach out? I will have Felicia write down your name, Noelle, and I know that we've been sending the financial ethics, and I know that the confidentiality forms are just starting to go. And then, yes, Debbie, you will be able to attend training for another position. So our goal is that everybody's cross-trained, so you can get on there as the secretary and take the training and look at the training for treasurer and president, or for those chapters that are working on getting more people involved, which I will see everyone's head bobbing up and down for positions. Like welcome them into board chapter training. I know I had some questions from chapters like, can we invite our members to get them involved? Absolutely, yes. And then this will be a way for, people to see what being a treasurer is really like, and what being a secretary really entails. And we want to really strive to make you all successful in volunteering and streamlining that and just making it super easy for you to be able to do that. And then, has it been discussed yet whether the election for officers will be changed to take effect after Police Week? No, but I have collected my data. Renee must have been in my class at Police Week. I've collected my data and always share for the national board. They're going to be here later this month for their meeting, and I know that there's like no good time, but I know that March is a busy time. And I know that this isn't a new discussion here in C.O.P.S world on when to hold good elections, but I do have my notes. So I appreciate you, Renee and Bev, keeping me on that. But if there's no more questions, I love seeing everyone's face though. This is fun. Webinar, I just talked to myself, so. Okay. I understand, Sue. It was very overwhelming coming in and switching right before Police Week. So I'm on it. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Amy for our last session, and then we'll come back on here and say a quick bye after she's done. Take some questions.
Cool. One more thing about the training for the positions, we're making them available to everyone. So if you are the secretary, yes, you can take the treasurer's training. That's for several reasons. One is so that you know what to expect of your other board members. They'll be able to watch the position that you're in as well. And so everyone will know better what the other positions are supposed to do. But also everyone in the chapter can watch those and learn from them, because you want to know what to, if you're just a member of the chapter, not on the board, you want to know what you can expect of your board, but also how to help your board. I'm also putting together a training that is going to be called something like, so you want to be on the board, or so you don't think you want to be on the board. And it's going to be, before you run for the board, what to expect, what it's like, how much time it takes, and what it's going to be like. So everyone will be able to see ahead of time what each position is about. And this is hopefully going to help with recruiting people to be on the board, changing over the boards as they need to be regularly, and so forth. So extra note on that. Okay, so I don't know if anybody is from the South that's ever heard of the phrase "for crying in a bucket." But my dad used to say that all the time. It's kind of like saying, for goodness sake, or something else, but he'd say, for crying in a bucket. And my grandmother would say, good gravy. But I asked him one time, what does this even mean? Why do you keep saying for crying in a bucket? Why would someone cry in a bucket? It made no sense to me. But that's what I decided to name this part about grieving together, basically grieving together while leading a chapter. So most groups, a chapter is a nonprofit organization. Most groups that lead or run a business meeting are running a business of some sort that's there to serve someone outside of their business, right? It could be other businesses, it could be just customers, whoever it is, all sorts of people. Support groups are different because the people who are part of a support group are there to get support. In a group like a C.O.P.S chapter, every member's there because they need support. They want to get support. And so they join a support group, the chapter. But the group itself, or the chapter, is also a nonprofit business, which has to legally comply with all sorts of standards and practices and IRS requirements and all sorts of things. So it becomes challenging sometimes to run the chapter and take care of all those business requirements, especially if that's all new to you. And nonprofit is its own world. Like, it's just got its own requirements. But then you also have to remember it's a support group, and every single person in it is there because they need support. And the great thing is everyone's needing support for the same reason. And that's the point of a support group. And theoretically, ideally, that would mean everyone in the group would be really interested and invested in doing whatever it takes to give support to the other members of the group and to receive support when it's needed for them themselves, two-way. And I said theoretically and ideally because it isn't always what happens, right? So everyone in this particular organization is there because you're hurting, you're grieving, probably feeling anywhere from a little bit lost to very lost. This is not a typical group that gets together to accomplish a thing or to produce something tangible. This group solely exists for the purpose of supporting each other within the group. And it isn't run by a smaller group who's separate, who isn't grieving, or whose only purpose is to come in and run the group, run the chapter. It's run by the people who are grieving and hurting. And that can get kind of complicated sometimes. So how do you navigate through grief when there are a whole group of you who are all grieving and in different various stages of grief and kinds of grief and methods of grief all at different times? So while I could probably teach a whole class on this for an hour, I think the best thing I can suggest right now would be these things. First, treat everyone with respect, no matter what, even if you don't agree with them or don't like their personality. Each and every person in the chapter, in this group, are there because they're grieving a very difficult loss and their life has been changed. You, right? Give each person the respect that you want, as everyone is equal parts of the group. Second, it's a support group. It's a support group. The entire purpose of this group, this chapter, is support, giving support and getting support. It's not about egos. It's not being part of the group. It shouldn't become someone's identity or their whole purpose to be part of this group. It's a support group. Have meetings, have get-togethers, give support whenever you're in a position of you're able to give support, but then look to others for support when you're needing it. It's give and take. It's a mutual respect and understanding, but always should be about giving and getting support. Third, be kind. Your grief may make you feel angry, unhappy, bitter, sad, depressed, all the things that make life not feel so great and make you not yourself or fully able to feel like being kind sometimes. All those things change our attitudes, but even when you're feeling low and you're struggling and you go to your group for the support you need, remember that the other members aren't hired in as therapists or professionals hired to provide support. They're actually the same people who are also needing support. So the group you're going to for support are also grieving. So just be kind all the time to every one of them and expect kindness in return because, as I said, it's a support group. Remember, the purpose of your chapter is to give and receive support. That's all I have on that.
Love it. Are there any questions? This is the quietest ever. We take you off webinar, we give you Zoom, and so quiet.
Talk.
Okay.
Peep.
Well, that's what we have today. Thank you so much for attending, and not only attending, taking the time out of your day, but most of all for giving back to COPS and helping survivors as survivors. You are appreciated, you are loved. If there's anything we can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out. Always call. This recording will be available probably in the next week or so on the website, and available for those that weren't able to attend today. So thank you so much. Oh, Shantae has a question. You can unmute and ask now, Shantae, or you can put it in the chat. It's up to you. But with that, if you are ready to get off, you certainly can.
Thank you. I guess when we were finished, I realized, I know you're sending all of this stuff out, but I was wondering if that last comment that she was making about, we're all in this together and we're all grieving and all of the things, like, I almost would love to read that at my next board meeting, just a really great reminder. And it was worded really beautifully. So I didn't know if you had that like in a slide deck that I could share.
I can send it to Lori real quick. I'll make
Thanks.
it into something you can read to your board. Sure.
It was beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Enjoy the upcoming weekend. Happy 4th of July. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.